Good Thursday, everybody. Meteorologist Casey Cloud here in the Weather Center with live coverage here of a tornado warning in Alabama, plus that local forecast. Obviously, that tornado warning in Alabama, now 2 tornado warnings in Alabama, they take precedence because we have a tornado on the ground here. You may have saw that debris signature as we were coming on here just a moment ago, folks. You could kind of see that drop out within our correlation coefficient. Now, the latest warnings for a radar indicated tornado, maybe not down here at the present time. This was the look a moment ago. You can see here a debris signature there just to the south of Leeds, near Leeds here in Alabama, just east of Birmingham. Though the latest warning more for radar indications, it definitely could get upgraded to a confirmed tornado warning as things are kind of getting messier here within our velocity mode. They were a little more definitive a moment ago. You could see off toward the south and west here. We were seeing the blues here, the greens coming together here with the red on the Doppler technology. You see that little hook there northeast of Meadowbrook as well. So that's kind of indicative of how things can go here in this situation sometimes, for sure. I know hopefully it does left. They're talking here in the chat session that there are major backups from Leeds there to the I-24 459 intersection due to some accidents. So hopefully those accidents will be cleared and this tornado won't be touching down anyway here as we continue to watch that track going off. This one tornado warning here where we had a confirmed tornado. It was near, it looks like Vanderveer, if I'm pronouncing that right, or near Leeds, moving northeast at 60 miles an hour here. And as we look off toward the north and east, this new tornado warning does include areas here around Moody, Wattsville, and Pell City in St. Clair County, Alabama. So this is a situation here, folks, that is important for these areas. So it's not a situation where we ended up turning that logo red because the threat level just didn't quite get high enough. We haven't had any necessarily destructive tornadoes on the ground. We have maybe had a couple tornado touchdowns for a short bit here in the state of Alabama today, but not in our area. Of course, we haven't had to break in, but we were getting this information coming in that we had a tornado on the ground, so we wanted to go ahead and kind of lead off with that here on our update on this Thursday in toward areas here in Alabama, going from Jefferson and Shelby and toward the St. Clair County area right now. So definitely important for folks. If you have relatives in this area, possible tornado there moving in toward areas of St. Clair County. As I go ahead and look at our correlation coefficient product again, you can see this was the last scan, and it's still on the ground, I think, actually, as we're looking toward Leeds here, folks. I know they went with better indicated downstream, but that looks like it definitely could still be on the ground here. This is what I'm talking about right here, lowering in the CC values. That's a debris signature when the hydrometeors are not consistent. Now, this right here, off toward the east, this will be this year's consistent hydrometeors here. As we're watching things very carefully, I know you kind of see that rain coming on down within the Doppler technology, but that one little spot there, folks, that is tornadic debris in this situation. So that's something you have to kind of be mindful of for sure when you're watching things here this evening. So again, we're watching this debris signature. You can see a flash flood warning now popping up for Birmingham as well. We're going to go ahead and look on off toward west. You kind of see some of this rain training on in. This is a flash flood warning for Jefferson County now in Alabama, not our Florida Jefferson, but Alabama here. Let me distinguish that. That goes till 12:15 a.m. So that potential for some heavy rainfall is there. So some severe weather ongoing. Let's go ahead and give you an overview here of the situation once again. You'll be able to see the temperature contrast very well on the mapping. 30s off toward Dallas, folks. But as you get here toward Louisiana, we're talking about 60s, toward New Orleans, 70s here, and you see 70s toward our area. In fact, currently east of Stark, where I'm at, we're at 70.6, so 71 degrees pretty much here, folks. That does tell that story. We got all the way to 84 today, but luckily we don't have the dynamics in play for any severe weather to really enter in toward north central Florida. Now, southwest Florida, the Big Bend, that could be a little bit of a different story. There's a marginal, very low, non-zero type of severe risk here for the overnight hours, so we'll be watching that and staying in the weather center. I've been here all day watching things up toward Alabama, and we're going to continue to watch things. As we look downstream, you see where our significant tornado threat was. Didn't we have maybe a strong tornado develop? We're not 100% sure, though. That one debris signature, that could have been a strong tornado. We had another one earlier in a more rural area. it seems. So that's something to kind of bear in mind. The rotation is falling apart now, according to the chat room here in the chat session in the Birmingham office, and the debris is starting to dissipate now, according to them. So that's great news. But you see our marginal risk here, Albany over toward Blakely. This is a 1 out of 5 risk now. This isn't really for a tornado threat. Granted, you can't theoretically run a quick spin up. And you see hail threat, not really there. We had a hail threat toward Tuscaloosa earlier, and you kind of see here we have that blue actually further off toward the west there, but you can see our wind threat. That's what this margin risk is for. So let me go ahead and get in tight here to give you guys an idea of where you need to stay weather aware overnight, even though it's a very low risk. It's not zero here, folks, and so we'll just go ahead and talk about areas around Blakely, Cuthbert, Dawson, over toward Albany, Sylvester, Tipton. You see Moultrie, Camilla, and Bainbridge in here. So I'm just going to continue to watch here for a low-end risk. You can kind of see how some of this axis is looking off toward the west here. It's not necessarily being warned for severe thunderstorm conditions right now, so that's the good news. Maybe we won't see too much as we get later on in the timeline, but you can see here eastern Tennessee, we do have some heavier showers there in this area, something to watch. We're not even seeing necessarily too much lightning, and as we get further north, I know things in terms of those temperatures are definitely a little bit cooler up here. We're talking about 61 degrees. We have a severe thunderstorm warning here. This is south of Lexington and the University of Kentucky. This is a severe thunderstorm warning for southeastern Clark and northern Madison County there. Again, we're talking about Madison County, Kentucky, not in our Florida zones. Interesting how some of these different names get used here across the country, but as we look here toward the east, you do see a severe thunderstorm warning also in play here for Powell, Montgomery, northwestern Morgan, as well as Bath, even into toward Estelle, Jackson, Menifee, Lee, Fleming, Rowan, and Wolfe counties there in Kentucky. So going to be watching for that 60-mile-an-hour wind gust potential there. Right about now, it looks like it's going near Hayes Crossing. There's some 60-mile-an-hour winds here in this area possible in Kentucky. You see Moorhead there in that state. So that's something definitely to be watching there as we're looking toward the Bluegrass State. But we'll go ahead and zoom back on out. You do see tornado warnings here around into the east of Birmingham. The rotation is being noted as falling apart, though. So let's go ahead and see that for ourselves here. We do have some other products we can pull up here, and you can see it on my end here. I'll go ahead and pull it up for you guys as well. This is the analyst computer. So let's go ahead and go over here now. You can kind of see we have the reds and greens pretty broad in nature. We're not seeing that tight circulation. There's your debris. We did have a tornado on the ground, but at this point, this definitely looks more like remnant debris. I think the Weather Service is right on this here and calling this maybe debris here that is dissipating versus active debris being lofted. But as you can see here on previous frames, you can really see how that popped up there. This right here, as we get this to the southeast by a few miles or so of Irondale and south of Leeds as well. This popping up here, I mean, you can kind of see it there. The TVS, this is about 6:09 Central Time to the northeast of Lake Purdy there. And you can kind of see the area near a road. This is near, it looks like State Road 119. As you can kind of see where my mouse is, right in there maybe. And that lines up with the net rotation pretty well. And then you can kind of see here, there's your rotation. And then we kind of keep going. We had debris here with this. It popped, then it went, then it popped. You can really see it pop out right there, though, right on the county lines. There it is. It's a pretty rural area, but there looks like there might be some houses in there that might have been hit by a tornado. You just never know exactly. I know this isn't going to be 100% to the exact road necessarily, but it'll do a really good job here overall as it's kind of went on up toward Leeds, but I think it kind of fell apart here as it was getting closer toward Leeds. But we're now getting information. There is a CC drop in St. Clair County, so this is live. That is active debris again. So it lifted, and now it looks like it's back down, even though the velocity wouldn't suggest that. Sometimes you get some interference. That looks more like active debris. I know it's kind of a tough thing, but when you see it more like that, where the greens are there, not as much, but now active debris where we have these blues here. So we have another tornado on the ground. You just heard that beep coming on in. This is a tornado on the ground here south of Interstate 20. Haven't had all that many debris signatures, so that's why I'm kind of staying with this a little longer on a formal update, because when we have confirmed tornadoes, we need everybody in the whole country paying attention really to what's going on here in the state of Alabama. While I'm on it, it's kind of not a great idea to break away from this here. At least as these informational details are coming out. Let's go ahead and give them to you before we kind of move ahead here in the forecast cycle. So the net rotation right here, it's not really lining up great, but there may be some interference or in an odd spot on the radar here, but that did look more like active debris here in this area, meaning debris is actually being lofted up at this moment by a tornado on the ground, causing things like power flashes, things of that sort. So they're calling this a confirmed tornado now. As you see these other winds around too. I know we've had some gradient winds here today. You kind of see 29, 28. These aren't from a tornado, but these are just from the winds here. It's been a windy day even toward north central Florida. But this is right now a confirmed tornado located over Ball Rock or near Moody, moving northeast at 50 miles an hour. So we want you to be taking shelter here in St. Clair County. A confirmed tornado in play right now. If you have relatives here, let them know exactly what's going on here in this area. We'll go ahead and pull up those tornado safety tips right now. I have those on our other source, so we'll go ahead and take our graphics computer about 5 seconds or so as we continue this coverage here. Again, just trying to keep you guys abreast of the situation here. So now we'll go ahead and take the graphics system. You can see what we're talking about. When there's a tornado warning in play, and we have that tornado watch, a couple of them actually. For a tornado warning means you want to seek shelter in that sturdy building, get as many walls between you and the outside as possible, and protect yourself from flying debris by putting on a bicycle helmet. So again, a tornado warning right now here. Confirmed tornado moving toward, it looks like, as I check some things, toward Pell City. So if you have relatives in Pell City, Alabama, give them a text, give them a phone call, let them know that a tornado producing storm is headed their way. They need to be alerted to this fact right now as we continue to watch things here in the Weather Center. So there's one look, but then I have our velocity pulled up on another view. This is going to be our GR level 3 computer. You see Pell City here, a dangerous threat for them potentially. You see these reds and greens. It's kind of broad, but we've had a debris signature, so we know this is producing tornadic acts, and you kind of see that here. Access a little further to the north. It's kind of interesting because that's not exactly where you'd expect things to be lining up. So this is an unusual situation in some facts and in some aspects because you see the debris there, but our circulation is a little further to the south. But let's just say anybody in this polygon, this is just something meteorologists at Birmingham has said for years, James Spann, just respect the polygon here and take shelter. You just never know exactly where the tornado could be moving here, or if you get a secondary circulation to evolve even, that's something you got to be mindful of here in St. Clair County, Alabama. So we have the tornado warning, confirmed tornado with the debris signature in St. Clair County. So we're going to keep an eye on this, but right now let's get into some of these other weather details. I know I want to go ahead and give you that forecast before too late. Might go ahead and stay with us a little bit longer with that confirmed tornado. But again, you saw those tornado safety tips. Now, we have had some tornado re-signatures today, but you may be wondering what a strong tornado is like here within the EF scale, and that's based on the damage here. Definitely based on that damage as we go ahead now and pop that back on up. And that's based on 3-second wind gust estimates. In fact, you see here, light moderate damage, that's an EF0, EF1. That's not considered a strong tornado, but when you get EF2 plus, that's what a strong tornado is. We might have just barely gotten into that with one of these storms. You never know. It's going to depend on the damage. Maybe not quite getting there, maybe happening about here in this hour even. So something those folks are dealing with that threat there in the central time zone. I know we're in Eastern time, not to confuse you, but since we're doing a normal update, I want to keep the clock on here. I'll take that off sometimes when we're doing updates just for out west, but since this is a normal update, I want to keep that Eastern time on for everybody. As we have a low-end threat again towards some of our southwest Georgia counties here, but the tornado threat is not something we're going to be monitoring too much. We're not expecting those to pop on up necessarily as much there. So that's the good news as we keep watching Alabama, that tornado threat, but that tornado warning continuing right now. But let's go ahead and pull up our GR model computer now. We're going to go ahead and switch on to that here. You'll be able to see what we're talking about. This is later on into the night, folks. As we're looking even towards sunrise, you don't even see a lot on here. So that's some good news in some aspects here. But I'm going to go ahead and back this up some here. This is kind of that view here as we progress things. We're kind of doing this a little bit on the fly here as we continue to watch the situation off toward the west. You kind of see what the line could look like. This is theoretically what it should look like about now, but I know as I look here at some of my tools, it's not doing all that great of a job, to be quite honest, because this line in front really isn't there, and the axis to the north is a little bit behind, pretty close in time, but a little bit behind there. So let's kind of just focus on this secondary line. And you also got to factor in that some of this accent here, folks, could be really maybe a little bit stronger without a line out in front, because that line in front could kind of suck some energy out of the environment here. But this is that forecast model. Looking here, you see 1 o'clock, or excuse me, 1Z, which gets us to about 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Central Time. Just again, a little behind, but we'll just keep going with it here and focusing on the line out back behind. You see here, maybe toward areas of southeastern Alabama. This is 1 a.m. Eastern, midnight Central Time. You kind of see some of this really weakening, maybe some accent out ahead. This gets us to here about let's see, so that's 3 a.m. Eastern Time. If you do the time conversion there, we have the 8Z on our screen behind the scenes. You can kind of see some storms. Those probably won't really be severe in general. Maybe a rogue one getting a warning, can't rule that out, but I'm not terribly concerned about our area. But if there's any threats breaking, of course, we'll let you know about it. But you can see here, this is around 10Z now. You can kind of get the idea. And then as we get toward 12Z, that's sunrise, 7 a.m. or so. I know where I'm at sunrise today was 7:05, and that's now a radar indicated tornado with that beep up toward Pell City, Alabama, versus maybe one on the ground here at this very moment. But that can change. A debris signature meaning something dangerous already happening. But as we go back here into the model, you see some things trying to break back out, maybe southeast toward early afternoon, and then maybe something around Jacksonville around 4 o'clock Eastern, something like that. But not terribly concerned again. So that's the good news. But let's go ahead now. Take a look at Saturno. This was a story out toward Alabama here earlier today. Some of that daytime heating, folks. Some of that daytime heating. And we did see some warm temperatures here. You can see, though, right now toward Tallahassee, things do look a little bit darker here at this point. Obviously, it's nighttime, but my point is you can kind of see some clouds here in the picture. Per se, I know we've had some controlled burns around too, but this is that viewpoint there in Leon County, giving you guys a look outside. And as we go ahead now, let's go ahead and take another look here, or another shot. We'll take it to the Cedar Key camera. I know getting some new information in here into the chat. As you see that. You see that viewpoint right now, folks. Definitely giving you guys an idea of what's going on there. That viewpoint in Levy County. You can kind of see how things look kind of calm, but again, we'll have a little bit of action. But it's just going to warm up again after that cool down that we're expecting this weekend, and I'm about to show you here in that full forecast cycle. So let me go ahead now and move away from this. We'll go ahead and let's see where we want to go right now. I think we'll go ahead and take you on over here to some other tools. I know that's something that we can use during the daytime, but not at night. But as you get over here toward Pell City, you can kind of see here we do have the storm that's in progress right now. A tornado warning for St. Clair County. It's a radar indicated tornado warning here at this point. And we're now getting reports in from media here in the chat session here. Of an issue in Leeds. It looks like trees down on a mobile home with people trapped. I'm not going to go ahead and go into too much detail on that, but we're getting reports of a tree down on a mobile home there, at least one, with people trapped there. So that definitely kind of tells the story in Alabama. Hopefully they can get them out here pretty quickly and safely in toward that state. So continuing to look here, I know it's kind of busy doing this a little bit different here than we generally would. Of course, our covered area here, covered area, as we look at the mapping, if there's ever some type of threat we're really concerned, we'll be talking about it here. If it's in one of these 62 counties, for sure, of course, that we cover national threats as needed here. This is always a good map to refer to know your county as well. And you can look at this anytime, cloudsradar.com/live. You can get the different options for the covered and just look at this map here, so you can kind of figure out where your county is in relation to others. Maybe pull this up and there's a warning. You'll be able to kind of see, well, the warning, let's just say, for instance, Seminole County, well, just off toward the east here, then maybe something there happening where you'll need to be on guard. So I know we're getting more reports in out of Alabama. They're saying no plans to extend a warning downstream at this time, and they may go ahead and cancel it. So that's definitely good news. And I know we kind of go back and forth here, but we're getting just reports coming on into that tornadic accident in Alabama around Leeds. Hopefully that kind of lifted there as it got into town, but it may have still been on the ground as we do again have that issue there, technically in the city limits. So they're calling a mile south here of a mobile home with a tree on it and people trapped. So that's your rainfall forecast for the next 7 days. You can kind of get an idea as the warning just got canceled for St. Clair County now, but there's your rainfall forecast. Cloudweather.com/radar will give you that interactive look when we're not on the air here. Definitely something to kind of watch for. As you can see, northern Mississippi, northern Alabama, and Tennessee here getting quite a bit of rain. That's not from this system. That's from another system coming into play here early next week. Maybe another severe weather chance coming into the picture here. We'll have to continue to monitor that here as we monitor all of our different resources behind the scenes here for sure. So again, we'll continue to look at that. Now here's that 7-day forecast into that Daytona 500, important for some of you out there, and the weather looks pretty good for that. Down toward Volusia County there, you see tonight, tomorrow, maybe some storms around. I lowered the chance of rain to about 50%. Some fog in play, maybe some sea fog there toward the Gulf Coast, maybe toward the Atlantic. We'll just have to kind of watch here. As you see, 77 for that high temperature, and you see the cool down behind our system, but then warming back up quickly. I mean, you go from around average, give or take here. As we look here, you see temperature technically above average for like Sunday though, and then way above average as we get toward Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday here. That kind of tells the weather story for sure. I know it's 68 outside right now, and you can see how temperatures will definitely be warm here. You might want to go outside at night a little bit. I mean, it's February, but it almost looks like a summertime or at least springtime forecast that we're dealing with here as we would get maybe later into toward March. It kind of feels like that. I know it's warm here in the studio right now, and definitely warm outside here in this situation. So right now, again, cooling off some, but you see the warm up before the cool down again. And we're looking at some of our different tools. We have so many radars pulled up right now. So I know this warning is going away. We'll go ahead and go on over right now toward our other viewpoint. You can kind of see here that warning no longer on the board. In fact, the only active severe thunderstorm warning we have right now is in Kentucky. This will show that to you right now here on our GR level 3 look here toward areas up toward the north. This is going to be the Jackson, Kentucky radar site. You'll be able to see this is a pretty big warning actually, but you see this here toward areas there around Menifee County. You can see the winds maybe trying to reach the surface there. It's a little bit of an odd pattern. Again, the wind's already overall pretty strong today. We've had a winter side to this as well. Let's not leave that fact out here. And that's a pretty big deal towards some of these other parts of the country. So let's go ahead and say you that. Here you can see a lot of snowy accent as we put the winter mode on. You can see here up toward Illinois, up toward areas of Indiana. You can definitely see here how things are going. And then Michigan too. You can see that snow definitely falling here. Look at these retards. That really tells the story. I know, seeing that around Chicago, we had Kansas City. They got about a half foot of snow here this morning in toward west central Missouri. That kind of tells the weather story as well. That's moved away. You see maybe some flurries around St. Louis right now. Maybe even further to the south here. Not really shown on radar, but maybe just enough reaching for the observation sites to be able to see those. But we'll get back down here. You don't see anything too concerning right now. Maybe a little bit of accent here in the Florida Panhandle. Like the model was trying to sell maybe a little bit of that kind of flare, and so that's something to bear in mind, but that's not something that would really be impactful. It doesn't look like here at this point. So again, continuing to watch things. We'll go ahead and zoom back on out here. We'll look at some of our parameters. These are significant tornado parameters. Still might get something here a little bit further down toward the south. The instability may be a little bit more favorable as well, though. Really seeing those values dropping off as we get later on, as we just got an update from the Storm Prediction Center in Norman, just right off the presses. In fact, this is our wind threat area. You see off toward Alabama now, down to 15% there overall, and a slight risk in general here now. The tornado threat area is confined, or hail threat area confined. The wind, though, is what keeps part of our viewing area in it. So I'll be here watching things. If we need to come on the air, we will. But I'm not terribly concerned here in this overall setup. But again, we're talking about areas around Bainbridge, Blakely, Albany, Tipton. You kind of get the idea there. Maybe in North Gadsden, Liberty counties as well. Granted, this is just a outlook. Severe weather's not going to conform exactly to what this shows, but this just kind of gives you an idea of where maybe some stronger storms could still lie as we get later in the overnight. And there's no risk for tomorrow for winter, just a general thunderstorm type threat. As at this point, granted, I can't rule out maybe a rogue warning, something like that, but not terribly concerned here. That's the storyline right now. I know it's warm, it's been windy. We have those storms we'll be watching next week as well. I know we've had some debris signatures here today that we've been talking about, that we've been focusing on here in the Weather Center, but at this point, I think we'll go ahead and wrap things up since we don't have any active tornado warnings in the country. I know we've had the storms. They're still around Tuscaloosa, still around Birmingham. We'll pop this up real quick. You see some heavier storms, but not necessarily anything that's prompted more than flash flood warnings, which they can still be dangerous. You can still see some wind chains happening there around Birmingham, but that rain could cause some issues here, and that could cause some dangerous conditions. Remember, the National Weather Service's mantra there: turn around, don't in these situations, because when that rain covers the road, you might not be able to see, especially at night. We're at night now, and you might not be able to see how deep that is, as over the last 12 hours or so, you can kind of see how some of this comes under board here, 2-3 inches, and even in the last hour, give or take, these colors here, these lighter blues, would indicate over an inch of rain falling here. So, and you get more rain coming in the picture. Maybe that's higher numbers that we're talking about here. Maybe 5 inches, something like that. Not out of the question for some isolated spots. So something to watch. The local meteorologists will be covering that scenario there in the Birmingham and central Alabama. But thanks so much for tuning in. Have a great weekend.